Chapter 686. Just as Liliana was engrossed in her thoughts, Avina, who was in the open space, suddenly shouted to her. Liliana, let's go. If we don't leave now, we won't be able to reach the second ring before dark. Just as the three women were about to continue moving, Little Bear, who had been following behind them, suddenly cried out. Little Bear? Liliana noticed that the chubby Little Bear had taken out a scroll from a bush with great effort, and then brought it to Liliana with its mouth. Wah wah. Oh, you're a bear. You're not a dog. Avina praised at the side. Liliana took the scroll from Little Bear and opened it. She discovered that the scroll recorded a series of crimes committed by the Vassalate family and their affiliated families. Every single one of the crimes committed by the Vassalate family would cause controversy in the society. Abusing the commoners in the slums, raping women, illegal transactions. Seeing this, the three women didn't feel any pity for the two men's death. I didn't expect the Vassalate family to do such despicable things. It's true. When they were young, Natalia and Liliana had met the patriarch of the Vassalate family. They originally thought that he was quite amiable, but they didn't expect him to do such things. Then what about Little Bear? Natalia asked a more crucial question. She could tell that Liliana actually liked Little Bear very much. Our next operation is too dangerous. We can't bring Little Bear with us. To Natalia's surprise, Liliana actually made such a judgment at this time. She thought that Liliana would ask to bring Little Bear with her. Besides, if we take Little Bear away like this, its parents will definitely be very anxious. As she spoke, Liliana squatted down and stretched out her jade-like right hand to touch Little Bear's head. Little Bear also seemed to be very reluctant to let Liliana leave, and it also cried out with a slightly hoarse voice. Be good, be good. We have something to deal with now. When we're done, we'll come and play with you. Wow! Little Bear seemed to understand Liliana's meaning and stopped pleading. After sending Little Bear back to the tree hole, Natalia and the rest embarked on their journey to the second ring. To be honest, this cloudy day is really strange. It's cloudy and looks like it's going to rain at any moment. However, regardless of the weather, Natalia and the others had no choice but to continue forward. Along the way, they encountered some minor troubles, but they were all resolved with the help of Leona's ability to see through. Last time, the three of them encountered an extremely rare Wisteria King in the third ring. This Wisteria King was a very powerful and carnivorous plant. It was abnormally beautiful, and its willow petals were as mesmerizing as wisteria waterfalls. Moreover, its stamen had a little fluorescent substance that could attract some small animals that were attracted to the light, allowing it to prey on them. It was a cloudy day on Reef Island. Strangely enough, the hurricane in the air was unusually fierce, and the temperature had dropped to near zero. According to Nawab, even on a place like Reef Island, this kind of gloomy weather was extremely rare. The strong wind caused the Wisteria King's branches to sway greatly, but the Wisteria King was extremely happy about this. Its long and dense branches actually had a very strong anesthetic effect. Its beautiful petals attracted other creatures, and when they weren't paying attention, the Wisteria King would use its branches to paralyze them and turn them into nutrients for the soil. Just based on Natalia's carelessness, she would pounce and run forward as soon as she saw the Wisteria King. Fortunately, Liliana saw through the peculiarity. Otherwise, Natalia would probably be trapped in the Wisteria King's roots right now. It was said that if a mage fell into the Wisteria King's trap, it was very likely that they would lose their lives. Seriously, what's wrong with the organizers of this 7-school competition? They didn't even say anything about the Wisteria King and that scientist. Why didn't they scout out the place beforehand? Liliana thought for a moment. And if, I'm just saying what if the organizers did it on purpose? Liliana's hypothesis caused both of them to stare blankly. If that's really the case, then it's too scary. Right at this moment, an ice arrow suddenly shot towards Natalia from the right. Its speed was so fast that Liliana didn't even have time to react. The ice arrow had already rushed to the front of Natalia. Bang! Natalia subconsciously leaned her body to the side and barely dodged the ice arrow, but a small wound still appeared on her knee. Who is it? Natalia was stunned to discover that the ice arrow's aura had already covered her wound with a thin layer of ice. It even helped to stop the blood from flowing out. This attack. Natalia looked at the ice arrow stuck in the ground. Ice magic. Brilliant dragon's howl? Over there, Natalia. Liliana instantly activated her heterochromatic pupils and saw two figures hiding behind a large tree to the right through the flow of magic particles. Ha! Natalia slashed towards the large tree to the right. The sharp Ragnar directly chopped the large tree in half, and the two figures appeared in her field of vision. Not bad, Natalia, but you're still a little lacking compared to us. The two figures walked in front of Natalia and the others. They were two girls, and what was surprising was that the two of them actually had the same face. The only difference was that their hairstyles were slightly different. One of them was a girl with long pink hair. She looked very gentle and quiet, and her slender fingers made people jealous. Standing beside her was a girl with two ponytails. She also had pink hair, and her standing posture didn't look very restrained. From her words and actions, one could feel that she had a mischievous personality. May Avina. May mirrors sound. Natalia couldn't help but clench her teeth when she saw the faces of the two. This is troublesome. The one with long hair was called May Avina, and the one with two ponytails was May Mirrors Sound. They were twins. May Avina was the older sister. She was a contestant from Brilliant Dragon's Howl Magic Academy, and was also one of the favorites to win the championship. Speaking of which, the twins were actually quite familiar with Natalia and Liliana. The 3000 family and the Wuyue family were old friends, and the relationship between the two families was quite good, so the four of them often met. Chapter 687. Every time they met, there would be a lot of conflict. Natalia didn't like May Leona, but at the same time, May Leona wanted to tease Natalia, and she succeeded every time. Natalia didn't have a good impression of May Leona. Leona and May Avina's relationship wasn't bad, but that was only on the level of not bad. May Avina always had a very warm smile on her face, and she treated people well. Her magic power was also first class, but Leona knew her very well. May Avina was a complete black-bellied person, the type that was black-bellied to the bone, even blacker than a crow. If she caught something she liked, she would take it by hook or by crook. Therefore, Liliana purposely kept a distance from May Avina. Leona, long time no see. May Avina tilted her head slightly and said with a smile. Ugh, this smile again. A long time no see. Leona replied politely. Are you crazy? May Leona, that move just now could have killed someone. Don't mind it so much. I only realized that I went a little overboard after I attacked, but I can't take it back. But at least you're not injured. We have such a good relationship, you won't mind, right? May Leona ran to Natalia's side and elbowed Natalia. Who has a good relationship with you? Stay away from me. Natalia really couldn't do anything about May Leona. How should she put it, she was really like a child. Then why are you looking for us this time? Leona didn't beat around the bush and directly asked the most basic question. Can't we come and play with you if we don't have anything to do? Avina, we have very important things to do now. If it's because of the competition between the 7 schools, I hope we can meet at the Sacred Sword Dance Festival. Leona said very seriously and didn't seem to be joking at all. What a coincidence. That's what Liliana and I thought as well. Avina stroked Liliana's head and continued. Actually, we're here to ask if you've seen one of our juniors. He has black hair and is quite short. Right. I almost forgot. Have you seen my little brother before? Liliana bared her fangs and brandished her claws. Little brother? Natalia said in a despicable tone. Could she be your little lover? Pu. He really is one of my little brothers. Really. As Liliana explained, she used her self-created windmill punch. Although it didn't hurt, it had the effect of drawing aggro. Liliana and Avina didn't care about the two clowns. Avina, can you tell us the details? Actually, another member of our team got separated from us yesterday. Avina organized her words and continued. The fog yesterday was very thick. We originally wanted to find a stronghold to temporarily hide from the limelight. But we didn't expect that the junior who went out to scout hasn't returned yet. Missing again? Liliana and Liliana looked at each other and immediately thought of something. Which direction did your junior brother go missing in? There. Avina pointed a finger in the direction Natalia and the others had come from. As expected. If it's about this matter, we might have some clues. Liliana walked over. Aya, is this Miss Liliana? You're really as beautiful as the rumors say. Liliana's face turned red. This was the first time she heard a stranger praise her like this. Then, what are the clues you know? Avina said with a smile. Liliana nodded, indicating that Liliana could say it out. Although Liliana and Natalia didn't get along with the Wuyue twins, they still knew their characters. As a matter of fact, it was yesterday. In the next 10 minutes, Liliana told Avina about the scientists and the modified human, Adong. I didn't expect such a thing to happen in the 7 schools competition this time. Avina said slowly. Actually, something strange happened to us yesterday. Liliana and I are relatively talented in water magic. Every time we rest, we will cover the camp with threads that look like spiderweb. But not long after Junior went missing, our threads broke almost at the same time. No matter how arrogant Natalia was, she never doubted the strength of the two sisters. After all, she and Liliana had suffered a lot when they were young. Natalia knew a thing or two about the threads that Avina had mentioned. Spiders could lock onto the enemy's position through the vibration of their webs. The two sisters also created a kind of magic based on this principle. They condensed water molecules formed by magic into threads that were hard to see with the naked eye, and then wrapped them around the target. If an enemy sneaked up on them, they could react in time. They cut off your water net in an instant? Natalia and Liliana felt a little incredulous. Under normal circumstances, the Wuyue sisters would cover a wide area with their water net. It seems that the other party must be very fast. Listening to what you said just now, the person who broke our water net should be the Adong with leopard legs you mentioned before. Avina clapped her hands. Although I've never heard of the modified human, but I believe you. Avina giggled. I've decided to follow you to find that scientist. Avina, this. Just when Liliana wanted to say something, Natalia, who had just gotten rid of Liliana, pulled her and winked at her. This is. Liliana tried her best to decipher the message that Natalia wanted to convey. Liliana, let them go. We just happen to be lacking thugs. Liliana replied to her. Natalia patted her chest. It's not that we can't bring you guys along, but you must listen to our orders. Also, if we can't find your junior, don't blame us. Chapter 688. Avina said with a grin. But looking at her narrowed eyes, she should be thinking about something else. Hey sister, are you sure you want to go with them? If we really can't find Xiang, then we'll be scolded by the dean. I don't care. Who told you to bring that little toy of yours over? And Liliana squatted down and hugged her head with both hands, as if she was struggling with something in her heart. Finally, okay. I'll go too. It seemed that Liliana had won against her guilt. At this moment, Natalia didn't say anything and smashed a heavenly justice on her head. Woo, it hurts. What are you doing? Liliana covered her head with both hands where Natalia had just punched her. This is revenge for that arrow you shot. What are you doing? I was aiming at the little grass at your feet. You were the one who blindly moved and got hurt. How can you blame me for that? Bang! Another heavenly justice. This punch was the result of Natalia punishing Liliana for talking nonsense. What? You're making me sound stupid. Ah, I'm angry. Liliana wiped the tears from the corner of her eyes and stood up. Come out, ice feather. In an instant, a fierce gust of wind blew in the air. Light blue fluorescent dots gradually appeared in the air like stars. The fluorescent dots gathered in a spiral shape in Liliana's palm, and a glittering and translucent ice bow and arrow appeared in her hand. What, you want to fight? Natalia swung her right hand and Ragnar appeared in her hand. Ragnar's whole body was gold and silver in color. The hilt and both sides of the sword body were gold and engraved with some dense patterns. The middle area of the sword body was silver and looked very cool. Ever since Natalia fought with the dark demon summoned by Geo, she had mastered the method of transferring wood elemental magic particles into Ragnar. Natalia was shocked to discover that Ragnar, which was filled with wood magic particles, could turn dark green. She didn't notice it when she was fighting with the dark demon. Speaking of which, who was talking to me at that time? Natalia also had doubts about the voice that appeared in her mind during the battle. Occasionally, Natalia would try to communicate with the voice again, but so far there was no effect at all. Natalia didn't mention this to Reynolds. Anyway, she could already imagine Reynolds's expression after he heard it. You idiot, do you only know how to eat and sleep all day? Look at you now, your brain is damaged from sleeping. Actually, Reynolds, seems like he would really say that. When did you get that toy? Let me see. As soon as she saw the golden Ragnar in Natalia's hand, Liliana suddenly lost the will to fight, as if she had forgotten what had just happened. She ran to Natalia, then squatted down and reached out to touch Ragnar. But just as Liliana's hand was about to touch Ragnar, Ragnar suddenly burst out with a dazzling golden light, and then Liliana felt as if she had been flicked in the head by something. She instantly lost her balance and sat down on the mud. Ah, this has nothing to do with me. Ragnar did it by itself, it has nothing to do with me. Seeing Liliana sitting on the ground, Natalia instantly waved her hand to show that she was innocent. Woo! Natalia thought that she had made Liliana cry and immediately squatted down to comfort her. Woo-wah! Woo-wah! The next moment, Natalia inadvertently saw a trace of an evil smile hanging on the corner of Liliana's mouth. Not good, I've been tricked. Just as Natalia realized that something was wrong, she immediately wanted to jump back. Too late. Liliana's right hand, which was pressed tightly against the mud, dug with all her might, grabbed the wet mud, and then flung it fiercely. Pah! The mud directly hit Natalia's face at a 90-degree angle with the greatest force. The moment the mud touched Natalia's face, it split into countless small mud dots and flew backward. Several mud dots encountered Natalia's golden hair in the process of flying and dyed it khaki. Liliana, I'm going to kill you. After meeting the two sisters Mayavina and May Liliana by chance, the two of them also joined Natalia's scientist transformation plan. If I were to count, 1 woman, 2 women, 3 women, it's really 5 beauties gathered together. How should I put it? In fact, this kind of phenomenon was relatively common. Women had a unique advantage in the perception and application of magic power. Otherwise, it could be said that women were meticulous and clever. To a large extent, this was the reason why women were said to be meticulous and dexterous. As for men, it was said that men were created from the leftover dregs when God created humans. Therefore, some of the more physically demanding jobs were done by men. As for the occasional appearance of magic geniuses like Ragnar, it was purely due to luck. There would always be some dregs who would be lucky enough to be photographed in a better place. Without saying much, the original 3-man team was expanded to a 5-man team in just a short time. Mayavina, female, 17 years old, the eldest daughter of the Wuyue family. Magic adaptability. A rank, height, 169 meters, proficient in water magic. one of the representatives of Brilliant Dragon Magic Academy. She was the team leader of the team. She had pink long straight hair, and was in charge of all the plans for the 7 Schools Leap event. Mei Lingyin, female, 17 years old, the second daughter of the Wuyue family. She and Mayavina were twins. It was said that when she delivered the baby, Mayavina's little toe stretched out from her mother's womb first, so Mayavina became the eldest sister. Magic adaptability, B+ rank, proficient in water magic, ice magic. One of the representatives of Brilliant Dragon Magic Academy. She was in charge of long-range attacks in the team. After discussing the specific route, the 5 women were in a hurry to get on with their journey. After all, there were still 2.5 days until the end of the 7 Schools Leap event. If they didn't speed up, it might really be too late. Chapter 689. Soon, the 5 women arrived at the side of the second ring-shaped river on the reef island. As long as they crossed the river in front of them, they would enter the second ring of the reef island. What the hell? Why is the river in the second ring so much wider than the one in the third ring? Just as Natalia said, this river was twice as wide and deep as the one in the third ring. It was still cold and windy. Compared to before, the current whistling wind seemed to have expanded a lot. Wherever the wind passed through, it would set off up undulating wave. It was like the surface of the sea in a stormy weather. All the water would be a ferryman's nightmare. How do we cross? Natalia asked doubtfully. Of course we cross like this. After saying that, Liliana summoned her weapon, Icefather. Liliana held the Icefather in her left hand and raised it in front of her eyes. Her right hand pulled the faintly discernible ice string in the air, and then pulled it fully. Then, a light blue ice crystal arrow appeared on the Icefather. The cold of the sky, the water is ice, thousands of miles of ice, under the warm sun, bones and hearts, my arrow breaks 10,000 laws. 10,000 miles of ice. After chanting the incantation, a huge wave of cold air slowly converged at the tip of the ice arrow. The surrounding temperature instantly dropped a lot, and the tip of the arrow emitted a crystal blue light. Go! Liliana released her right thumb, index finger, and middle finger. With a whoosh, the ice arrow shot towards the second ring of the river with the momentum of breaking through the wind. Bang! A loud sound was heard. The ice arrow hit the surging waves of the water. When the ice arrow came into contact with the water, a crackling sound came from there, and it became more and more concentrated. Natalia saw the water surface slowly freeze, and the ice layer spread very quickly. In the blink of an eye, a rectangular ice surface about 10 meters wide was formed in front of the 5 women. Let's go, Liliana said with a proud face. Chi. Although Natalia was very dissatisfied with Liliana's limelight, she still had to follow. When he stepped on the icy surface, the first thing he heard was a sudden cracking sound. Are you sure that this ice surface can withstand the weight of the 5 of us? Natalia, don't you know that your weight counts as 1.5? Courting death. Ha ha ha, I'm just joking. Don't take it so seriously. Liliana waved her hand in amusement and continued. As long as nothing unexpected happens, the 5 of us should be more than enough. The wind and waves on the surface of the water were so strong that the roaring waves slapped fiercely on the ice. It was as if a lion was stepping on an elk, and it felt like the ice would shatter at any time. Just as the 5 women were halfway to the ice surface, a fireball rushed towards them from the opposite shore. Dodge! At this time, their attention was completely focused, and even the slightest movement could attract their attention. It was just a fireball, so dodging it was still relatively easy. Pooh! The 5 girls looked at each other and nodded. They immediately jumped up, and the originally dense formation was instantly disrupted. Not good, someone is guarding the river. Guarding the river, this was a battle strategy. It was the same as the battle strategy of guarding the bridge in a certain game. Set up traps in places where some people would definitely pass by, set up an ambush, and when some people pass by, suddenly appear and sneak attack them when they are unprepared, using this to achieve the effect of eliminating the opponent. Quickly find a cover, Avina shouted. The 5 women respectively hid behind the frozen waves that were closest to them. Bang! Bang! Another 2 fireballs rushed over and directly smashed onto the frozen wave. Humph, humph, my ice ceiling 10,000 miles is not something that can be broken by these few small fireballs. Natalia activated her heterochromatic pupils and looked towards the shore. She discovered that there were currently 3 people standing behind a few trees on the opposite shore. Among them, 2 of them were responsible for throwing fireballs, and the last one was actually lying on a rocking chair and drinking a drink that was prepared in advance. He looked carefree and at ease. Fire annihilation sky. Aya. Seemingly hearing Natalia's voice, the person who was lying on the ground stood up shakily. Aya. Look at who this is? I thought it was some rotten worm or shrimp that took the bait. I didn't expect that it isn't the famous Sun Meng Shu Magic Academy and Bright Dragon Tian Shao Magic Academy. That person's tone was very exaggerated and pretentious. Aya, I didn't expect that the 2 favorites for the championship would actually be squatted by our fire annihilation sky here. What should we do? Ragnar, are you going to have a decisive battle with us here? Avina said slowly. Her eyes were half squinted, but there was no trace of a joking feeling. Ragnar, male, Fire Annihilation Sky Magic Academy's representative team leader, Magic Adaptability C+, good at using fire attribute magic. How would I dare to go against you all? Our Fire Annihilation Sky's strength is very inferior. Ragnar inserted his right hand's 5 fingers into his fluffy yellow hair. To be honest, I don't think that we can defeat you all here. We didn't know that you came over just now. So let's just let it pass like this. Ragnar waved his hand and motioned for his 2 teammates to stop. Let's go over quickly. Natalia rushed over first, but just as she lifted her foot, another fireball rushed over. Moreover, this fireball was more powerful than the previous one, and its speed was more than twice as fast. Bang! The fireball exploded at Natalia's feet. Fortunately, Natalia's reaction was still relatively fast, and she dodged the fireball at the critical moment. Hey, what are you doing? Natalia's anger directly rushed to her head. Ah, sorry, my hand slipped a little. Natalia, what's wrong with you, to actually believe what he said? Avina rebuked angrily. Didn't your coach say that the Fire Annihilation Sky Magic Academy's strength isn't strong, but in terms of scheming, they are definitely number 1. At this, he did say that. Before the start of the 7 schools competition, Ragnar had specially reminded Natalia of some information about the Fire Annihilation Sky. It was said that they would do anything to win. In short, 8 or 9 out of 10 of the things they said couldn't be listened to. Avina and Liliana had once been tricked by them, and thus suffered a lot of losses. When Ragnar saw that Avina had foolishly believed his nonsense, he suddenly burst into laughter. Even the other 2 teammates beside him also laughed at him. Chapter 690. Avina, who had barely dodged the fireball, seemed to be angered by the taunts. Her white face was flushed red with anger. Avina waved her right hand, and the gold and silver wings appeared in her hand. Avina, calm down. It's a trap. No matter how hard Hanako and Sakura tried to warn Avina, it was useless. Ah! Avina leaned to the side and stepped forward with her left foot. Her body's center of gravity shifted downwards. Avina placed the wings on the right side of her pelvis. Then, she exerted force in her legs, and 2 white magic formations appeared under her feet. The magic formations burst out with a strong wind, forming a thrust that sent Avina forward. Wings of heaven, As Avina uttered these 3 words, a pair of pure white wings spread out from her back. Every feather constantly adjusted its angle to help her glide forward. Avina was flying towards the 3 people from Campfire's Celestial Magic Academy at a very fast speed. "Oh, I'm so scared." Seeing Avina rushing towards him, Ragnar was not afraid at all. Instead, he taunted her even more. "Go to hell." A few seconds later, Avina had already reached the land of the second circle. Bang! Another fireball carrying a violent wave rushed towards Avina. Whoosh! Avina leaned to the side and used the inertia to spin 360 degrees in the air, dodging the fireball's attack. At the same time, the white magic formation's thrust was exhausted. When Avina landed on the ground, the muscles in her legs contracted in an instant. Her whole body was squeezed to the limit. She flapped her wings and slashed towards Ragnar's neck. Humph! Ragnar's lips curled into a strange, evil smile again. Not good. Hanako saw through her heterochromatic eyes that there was something wrong with the fireball that Avina had just dodged. "Avina, be careful. It's a trap." Huakai shouted, but it was already too late. Just as Avina's 6 wings were about to hit Ragnar, Ragnar turned his finger, and the fireball that had just been dodged by Avina turned back in the air. Bang! The fireball exploded on Avina's back. Ah! A tearing pain came from her back. For a moment, Avina lost her balance. The 6 wings that were originally attacking drew a serpentine arc in the air, leaving a small wound on Ragnar's face. "My handsome face. Bitch, I'm going to kill you." Ragnar touched his face and found a scratch about the length of a finger. His originally calm face instantly became unnatural, and his facial features became extremely ferocious. It seemed that Avina had accidentally touched the place he was most concerned about. Ah! Between the heavens and the earth, the flame demon descends into the world. Endless years wander about the crowds coming and going, the burning flames illuminate all things. Suddenly, a frightening demon whispers, "Transform me into the evil god of massacre, and use my flames to purify your sins." World-splitting fireball. Ragnar's incantation was getting faster and faster, and it ended just as Avina was hit by the fireball and fell to the ground. A reddish-yellow fireball wrapped in black streamers appeared in front of Ragnar. The fireball constantly absorbed a large number of fire magic particles from the 2 team members beside Ragnar and grew bigger and bigger. The wind helped the fire, and with the silent help of the evil wind, the fireball once again expanded to its peak, and the 5-meter-big world-splitting fireball was finally released. "Ha ha, go to hell. Lamy Avina of the Sun Mengshu Magic Academy, this is the result of scratching my handsome face." Just as Avina was about to get up and dodge, some cracking sounds came from her shoulder blade. It seemed that a few of the bones in her back had broken, and some of the bone tips had even pierced into her internal organs. A large mouthful of blood spurted out from her throat. This was the first time Avina tasted her own blood in this way. This feeling was really a little uncomfortable. Ah! Avina's consciousness told her that she must dodge the attack of the world-splitting fireball, but the great pain coming from inside her body again and again prevented her from moving. "Not good, I can't dodge it." Avina was already holding the little red flag on her belt in her hand. As long as she used a little strength and broke the little red flag issued by the 7 schools leap movement, the teleportation magic would be activated and send Avina back to the Gaia competition hall in the city. "I'm a little unwilling." Avina gritted her teeth and was about to break the little red flag in her hand. Suddenly, a large wave rolled up from the shore and hit the world-splitting fireball. With a whoosh, the heated wave instantly turned into a hazy mist and filled the surroundings. The momentum of the world-splitting fireball, which was originally rushing towards Avina, decreased a lot. It was like a magic train that had its engine turned off and could only rely on inertia to move forward. But even so, the power of the world-splitting fireball was still not to be underestimated. When she finally reacted, Avina's body seemed to be blocked by something, and the shadow cast on her body. This is? Avina raised her head and discovered that there was a huge black creature on her body. What the hell? Avina's expression changed subconsciously. Isn't this the big spider that we met in the forest? But thinking about it, this thing's corpse seems to be controlled by Lilith. Avina also changed inside. You scared me. The big spider raised its forelimbs and slapped the world-splitting fireball, forcibly changing its trajectory and smashing it into a big tree at the side. It's useless, it's useless. You can't save her, ha 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 ha. Ragnar covered his face with his palm, trying his best to suppress his laughter. The power of the world-splitting fireball was so great that it directly smashed several hundred-year-old trees in the second ring. Finally, it seemed to have reached its limit and suddenly shrank by one size. Not good, the fireball is going to explode. In the next second, the world-splitting fireball shrank by 1 meter again. Buzz! A sound that made one's heart tremble was emitted from the fireball. But just as the fireball was about to explode, Avina seemed to see a light blue reflective thing scurrying past her eyes. Ice feather strike! Avina shouted. When Avina turned her head, she discovered that it was an ice arrow that was shot over. However, this ice arrow was somewhat different from the ice arrow that Avina shot out before. Its entire body was covered with sharp ice thorns, and the tip of the arrow was like a blooming rose. Under the weak sunlight, it appeared to be dazzling and had a different color. Chapter 691. With a bang, the ice rose arrow pierced through the middle of the great world-splitting fireball and stopped inside. Ha! Following Avina's shout, the ice rose gradually melted and quickly wrapped around the world-splitter fireball at a speed visible to the naked eye. In almost a blink of an eye, the world-splitter fireball was frozen into a fist-sized ball. People who didn't know might think that it was a toy. Impossible, how can it be? How can my great fireball be broken? When Ragnar saw that his unique skill was broken, he was so scared that his legs went soft and he collapsed to the ground. Run! Run! Seeing that the situation was not good, Ragnar immediately blurted out his subconscious reaction in a trembling voice. But when he looked back, Ragnar found that the other 2 members of his team had already run far away. Hey, wait for me! Just when Ragnar wanted to chase after them, suddenly several strong murderous intents came from behind, one of which was particularly strong. That, Ragnar was a little embarrassed to say what he was going to say next. I'll tell you a secret, and the price is to let me go. How about it? Ragnar stiffly turned his head back. He seemed to see the answer on their faces that he had long guessed. That, can you not hit my face? This was probably the last bit of stubbornness that Ragnar had as a man. Apart from the time they had to travel, that meant that they still had about a day to deal with the scientist and the terrible Dong. The task was very difficult. After reaching the second ring area, there were very few creatures that could be seen. Before, in the third and fourth ring areas, they could often see creatures that could fly and run, but in the second ring area, there were very few of them left. The 5 women walked forward for a few kilometers, and suddenly there was a rustling sound from the bushes not far ahead. Everyone instantly entered a state of combat readiness, each of them releasing their weapons and magic in advance, and immediately launched an attack at the slightest sign of movement. The surroundings were very quiet, so quiet that they could hear each other's breathing. It's coming! Along with Liliana's reminder, a tiger's roar echoed around them. A whoa! A 2-meter-long tiger jumped out from the bushes in front of him. It was not like an ordinary tiger that had black and yellow fur. Instead, it had lush white fur with a domineering black pattern. Its eyes were also wide open, Its eyeballs were like red beans that had been magnified several times. It originally showed endless majesty, and the word king imprinted between its eyebrows made it even more arrogant under the contrast of its white fur. However, right now, the steps that it took when rushing over gave off a kind of light feeling, and there wasn't even a trace of hostility leaking out from it. Take this. Avina swung her sword at the charging tiger. Wait a moment, Before Liliana could finish speaking, Avina had already swung her 6 wings. Ha! At this moment, the black and white tiger in front of them suddenly stopped before the 6-winged immortal beast. Then, it squatted down, and its 4 muscles instantly doubled in size. Then, it jumped up. Not good. Avina was startled. She didn't expect that the tiger would actually do such a thing. The tiger leaped into the air, and stepped on the back of the 6-winged immortal beast. Then, as if using the 6-winged immortal beast as a stepping board, the tiger directly jumped over Avina's head and landed 3 meters behind Avina. What? So formidable! The tiger's astonishing action disrupted the 5 women's understanding. They had never seen a tiger do such a thing before. Thus, Tizia turned around and was about to attack again when Zhang Heng suddenly stopped him. Avina, wait a moment. Liliana finally had the time to stop Avina. What's the matter, Liliana? Look. After the tiger landed on the ground, it could be seen that it turned around and lightly roared at Avina. Then, it turned around and continued running. What's going on? Look, that tiger's right leg is injured. The women followed Liliana's direction and looked at the tiger that ran away. Indeed, there were some mottled bloodstains on the tiger's right leg. As for the wound, it couldn't be seen clearly. It should have been covered by the tiger's hair. To be able to make the king of all beasts feel fear, the women became silent. Seems like we have to re-evaluate the strength of the tiger. The tiger with white hair is an existence that is 1 level higher than the tiger species. It is said that the tiger's intelligence is already comparable to that of an ordinary human. Furthermore, the tiger is also able to mobilize the wind attribute magic particles in the air and fuse the magic into its voice, creating a deterrent effect. The 5 women looked at each other for a while, and in the end, they decided to continue on their journey. After walking for another few hundred meters, they discovered that there weren't any dangerous things that happened along the way. There was one thing that was worth noting. When Avina was walking, she tripped on a tree root that was exposed outside of the soil. Of course, this wasn't any foreshadowing. The tree root was just an ordinary tree root. It was just that Avina was distracted. No matter how careless Avina was normally, she wouldn't make such a low-level mistake at this juncture. Seems like she was indeed thinking about something in her heart, causing her to be distracted. The area of the 3rd ring was obviously smaller than the area of the first 2 rings by more than a few times. Along the way, they could occasionally see traces left behind by some powerful creatures on the trees, in the soil, and other places. There were 3 very hideous claw marks on the trunk of a certain big tree, and the direction should be left behind by an attack from the top right to the bottom left. They could already faintly hear the hua-hua sound of flowing water. It seemed like the first ring river was already not far away. Right now, the night had already fallen. What was even more frightening was that this chilly wind didn't have the slightest sign of weakening. Instead, it became even more rampant. Just like last time, the wind accidentally swept up some fine gravel and directly scratched Natalia's delicate cheek. It was Liliana who used magic to help her recover. And it's almost time. Why don't we rest here for a night? Liliana looked around and said. Right here? Avina looked around. This was a small flat ground. It was hard to imagine that there would be such an open space in the 2nd ring. Chapter 692. It seemed to be a place used for duels between creatures in the 2nd zone. Some animals who wanted to fight would come here to PK. This place was indeed relatively spacious, allowing them to avoid sneak attacks from enemies hidden in the dark. However, it was also because of this spacious area that the strong winds were not obstructed at all. The wind's speed felt like it could blow the old man's false teeth out of his mouth. Sleeping here was no different from courting death. Are you sure? Humph. Liliana snorted proudly. Natalia. Yes. Natalia then took out the tent that Ragnar had given them from the black disc. This was an artifact specially made by Ragnar that could completely shelter them from the wind and rain. No matter how strong the wind was in this terrible weather, as long as they got into the tent, they would not feel the howling of the wind outside at all. This is. The first thing that surprised Avina was not the magical tent that Natalia took out, but the black hole spell that she released. How can you use this kind of magic? Avina was very smart. She could see the power of the black disc at a glance. No comment. Unfortunately, Natalia had made him suffer in silence. This tent was very powerful. There was no need for anyone to keep watch outside at night. The interior of the tent had a magic needle that was very sensitive to the fluctuations of magic particles in the outside world. As long as someone approached the tent, the magic needle would turn in the direction of the attacker. Phew, after everyone finally hid safely in the tent, Avina sighed comfortably. Yo, you're finally back. At this moment, Abai, who was hiding in the middle of the tent, jumped out. Its chubby right paw grabbed Avina's favorite snack and kept putting it into its mouth. Abai, my snack! Contrary to Avina's reaction, Avina and Liliana's reaction was completely different. An orc that can talk. Disaster level. The reason why Avina, Liliana, and the others were very surprised that Abai could talk was that orcs that could talk were generally disaster-level monsters. What kind of concept was disaster level? It was probably equivalent to the level of a hero, just a little bit weaker than a hero. One of Ragnar's research directions was actually related to this. The golden carrot that Abai accidentally ate could give creatures that couldn't speak the right to speak, but at that time, it was still in the process of research and development, and the real experimental results were not confirmed, so Abai swallowed it just like that. Now it seemed that it was a success. What a cute bunny! Before she could finish speaking, Avina was about to rush forward and touch this cute little thing. Avina, come back. In a moment of panic, Avina didn't control her strength and violently pulled back her sister, who was about to pounce forward. Sister, it hurts. It hurts. It hurts. As if realizing her mistake, Avina quickly let go of the hand that was grabbing onto Avina's collar. Oh, someone heard us. XXX, why did these three lasses bring other people in? Abai suddenly saw Avina and Avina's arrival and was shocked. The fact that I can talk has been exposed. Should I kill them to silence them? A scary thought flashed through Abai's mind. But after thinking about it, it seems that other than being able to change its size and resist beatings, it doesn't seem to have any other use. Wrong. Abai flashed its two big front teeth. I can bite them to death. Avina, don't be afraid. This is a pet raised by our teacher. Pet? Is it the one called Ragnar? You actually know that idiot's name. For this 7-school jump, brilliant dragon Tianshao has made sufficient preparations. Not only your Sun Mengshu Magic Academy, we have also done our homework for the other academies. Although that was what she said, Avina's heart was not calm at this moment. To be able to raise such a level of pet, that Ragnar teacher of theirs should be very powerful. According to the information, Ragnar also entered the Sun Mengshu Magic Academy not long ago to become a teacher. Regarding his specific strength, it was completely unclear. Furthermore, after investigating his personal file, the result was that there was no explanation. It was only known that Ragnar especially liked to eat and sleep. Other than the first time, the information was very vague. To be able to become the leader of the 7-school jump in just a few days, that Ragnar should not be simple. Avina silently remembered this name in her heart. Looking at the night sky, it should be quite late now, let's rest early. Liliana looked around and continued. Avina, the two of you can sleep on Avina's bed. How about it? We can, let's see what Avina says. Upon hearing that the Wuyua sisters were going to sleep on her bed, Avina's ears perked up, her arms crossed together, and made a big X sign. No, I don't like outsiders sleeping on my bed. Then how about this? You two sisters sleep on my bed, I'll sleep together with Avina, this should be fine. If that's the case, it's still acceptable. Finally, after a short period of allocation, it was finally time to go to sleep. But just as Avina and Liliana covered themselves with the quilt, Avina suddenly felt her butt being ruthlessly kicked. For a moment she was stunned, and with a "pu" sound she fell to the ground. Flower? Before Avina could say anything, Liliana immediately took over the topic. Avina, I misjudged you. You actually put on P*** on my bed? So smelly. What the hell? Liliana's strange behavior made Avina confused again. When did I put P***? Liliana, quickly say it clearly. The sound of Avina falling down was a bit loud, and it directly woke up the Wuyua sisters who had almost fallen asleep. The two of them sat up one after another and looked at Avina. Their eyes were filled with a strong sense of ridicule, as if saying, "How old are you already, yet you still don't admit that you put P***? I. Chapter 693. For a moment, Avina's face flushed red. But I really didn't release any P***. Avina's expression and tone were both very wronged, as if she really didn't release any P***. In reality, Avina indeed didn't release any poisonous gas. She had just climbed onto the bed, and was about to stretch when she was kicked down by Liliana. You still dare to say that you didn't release any P***? Smell it yourself. Unexpectedly, Avina actually stuck her head into the bed and sniffed. However, all she could smell was the faint fragrance on Liliana's body, and there wasn't any stench at all. Where is there any stench? You still dare to say that there isn't any stench? I can smell it. Liliana's voice was vivid, and even Avina thought that she released some P*** in an instant. I released some P***. I'm really sorry, wait. When did I release some P***? Liliana turned her head away. Avina, go sleep with Natalia. Don't you want me any more, my most adorable Liliana? When Avina heard that Liliana wanted to chase her away to sleep with Natalia, she instantly acted coquettishly. However, it didn't seem to be of much use. I see. Avina's brain spun and thought of one of the possibilities. Sleep, Avina. Avina rubbed her younger sister's pink hair and said with a very gentle tone, "Woo, big sister, don't rub my head anymore. I won't grow tall. Got it?" Speaking of which, Liliana of the 3,000 families still hasn't changed. There was naturally a reason why Liliana chased Avina away, and it wasn't because she didn't want to sleep together with Avina. Their beds were next to each other in the 3,000 families. How could they dislike each other when they were sharing a room? Avina was naturally aware of this point. In fact, when Avina first saw the 3 members of The Last Hope, the first thing she felt was a very friendly and harmonious feeling. However, she kept feeling that something was missing. Everyone in the same team risked their lives together outside and entrusted their backs to each other. Even if they weren't family, they were closer than family. However, in the team of The Last Hope, there was a lack of cooperation and trust between each other. The key to solving this problem was Natalia. According to Ragnar, Natalia's parents had died in an accident, and she had been bullied a lot when she was young. As a result, her personality was a bit depressed and she was not good at communicating with others. After meeting Ragnar, she became friends with Liliana and Avina. Perhaps because of this sudden feeling, there was a bit of estrangement between them. Liliana saw this point and thought of a strange method to let Avina accompany Natalia to improve the beautiful friendship between the two and let Natalia open up more to others. As for me, and seems like I have to go and break in our relationship when I have time. Natalia. Ha ha ha, seeing that you are so pitiful sleeping alone, I will reluctantly accompany you to sleep for a while. Avina hugged the small crocodile pillow that she brought over from the dormitory and said with an awkward smile. Natalia took a look at Avina's butt. Don't worry, I will definitely not show off anymore. It seemed that under Liliana's constant hints, Avina finally thought that she was showing off. Natalia took a look at Avina and found that the other party was staring at her with big watery eyes. Avina's big watery eyes looked like if she was rejected, she would instantly cry. And looking at her appearance, she really looked like a lovable child. Avina put her hands behind her back, her two exquisite little feet were also pressed together, and her two big toes alternately pressed on top of each other. There were many round red dots printed on her light pink pajamas, and her golden hair drooped on both sides of her shoulders. She looked as cute as a doll. Okay. While speaking, Natalia supported herself with her hands on the bed and moved a little to the left to make room for Avina. Really? Not sure if it was Ragnar's intention, but the 3 beds in the tent were especially big, and each bed could accommodate 3 people. As soon as Avina heard Natalia's affirmative answer, she immediately became happy and giggled like a child who had received candy. Pfff. Avina directly lifted the quilt and crawled into it. It was already late at night. Finally, everyone fell asleep. I got it. At 3:00 in the morning, Avina suddenly sat up from the bed as if she was possessed. Avina in May, so you are coveting my snacks. I won't give them to you. After saying that, Avina fell asleep again. What Liliana miscalculated was that she seemed to have forgotten the fact that Avina could talk in her sleep. Just like that, it was the 5th day of the 7 schools skipping competition. If one were to count with their fingers, most of the teams should have been eliminated by now. What was the use of hiding? The little red flag had a function that could determine whether or not a team was passive in combat. Once you stayed in the same place for a long time, the little red flag might think that you wanted to win without doing anything, and would automatically trigger the teleportation circle to send you back to the city. This also caused many teams to have to encounter each other on the way to change locations, and fierce battles were inevitable. Whoa! The biological clock in her body rang punctually at around 8:00, and Lilith also opened her sleepy eyes. To be honest, the quality of her sleep last night was quite strange. Natalia's sleeping posture was really bad, and Ah Zhang was just the same. It was just that she was cuter when she turned over. Lilith didn't know what she was dreaming of, but she kept muttering things like, "Don't eat my snacks," and as she spoke, she would suddenly say something like, "Reynolds is an idiot." As soon as she opened her eyes, Lilith found that Natalia's whole body was on top of half of her body, and her arms were hugging her right arm. Even her blood flow was a little blocked. But for some reason, she didn't feel repulsed by this feeling at all. On the contrary, she felt a little happy. Wherever Natalia covered, there would be some comfortable body temperature left there. This was the first time Lilith felt such a warm feeling. Chapter 694. Natalia's lips moved and made a strange sound. She's a little cute. Lilith's naughty little impulse came out. Without waking Natalia up, Lilith quietly moved her right hand in front of her, and then pinched her index finger and thumb at the same time, like a clamp, directly above Natalia's nose. After a short while, Natalia still didn't wake up. Amazing! After a few seconds, Natalia directly switched to breathing through her mouth. In the end, it was Avina's time to eat that was the most effective. After hearing it, Natalia directly stood up with a shiver. Where's the food? What's there to eat? The group got up and simply took out some snacks from their backpacks. These were all carefully prepared by Reynolds. Not only were they rich in flavor, but they were also very nutritious. More importantly, he also put in all the food that Natalia didn't like to eat. This idiot. By the way, when Reynolds met Natalia and the others in the Goblin tribe, he secretly plugged the leak in the tent with the idea that this prank seems to be a bit too much. Avina, did you feel a cool breeze when you slept last night? A cool breeze? Avina thought carefully. No. It was very warm. What's wrong? Nothing. Am I really hallucinating? Natalia thought so. After everything was packed up, the 5 people gathered together again to reconfirm the action plan. As the saying goes, capture the leader first. If they fought Ragnar head-on, there was no need to think at all. With his physique, there was no chance of winning at all. But fortunately, Ragnar seemed to be following the instructions of the eccentric scientist. As long as they secretly caught the scientist, they should be able to find out the cause of everything. According to their respective abilities, Natalia, Lilith, and Liliana formed a team and were responsible for containing Ragnar's movements. They could not let Ragnar return to the scientist's side. Avina and Avina were in the same team. They were responsible for capturing the scientist. Looking at the frail and weak appearance of the scientist, he shouldn't be that strong. After the confirmation, the operation began. Following the faint sound of flowing water, the 5 of them moved forward. What was strange was that the closer they got to the first ring, the thicker the fog became. By the time they reached the river in the first ring, the fog had completely covered them. This fog is very similar to the fog we saw at the beach a few days ago. Yes, it seems that the fog has a lot to do with this place. The surroundings could already be said to be a vast expanse of whiteness. It was not an exaggeration to say that one could not even see one's 5 fingers. Everyone, stand close together. Don't get lost. Avina was fine. She could ignore the fog's interference with her vision through her heterochromatic pupils. After Avina finished speaking, the rest of the team also responded and stood closer together than before. At this time, the people who could see the surroundings had more say. Avina. Yes. Lilith. Yes. Liliana. Yes. Avina. Yes. In the fog, they could only use this method to determine the position of other teammates. Now the 5 of them were in front of the first ring of the reef island. The wind was still blowing, but for some reason, it did not blow away the fog. Even the surface of the first ring of the river was as calm as before, flowing slowly like an ordinary stream. Avina frowned. There must be something strange about this. Avina used her see-through ability. In her vision, there were countless light blue water elements flowing in front of her. If there was no accident, this should be the first ring of the river. The light blue water stretched as far as the eye could see and extended to the end of Avina's vision. Why is it so far? The width of the first ring was obviously much longer than what she had estimated. How do I get there? Avina thought of a feasible method. This river was so vast that it could be described as a water body. Don't tell me I should let Liliana shoot arrow after arrow? In the next moment, Avina gave up on this idea. Although the water in the second ring of the river was very turbulent due to the wind, its width was far from being comparable to the river in front of them. If Liliana were to freeze the water surface with arrow after arrow, it would take too much time. Moreover, the amount of magic consumed was not something that Liliana could bear. Right at this moment, Avina seemed to have seen something strange on the water surface. This is? Taking a closer look, Avina actually discovered that there was a path made of stone hidden in the water. The surface of the path was very smooth, and the water surface just happened to be above the top of the path. If one didn't look carefully, it was impossible to discover this hidden path. Thinking of this, Avina suddenly felt very fortunate that she had the special ability heterochromatic pupils. There's a small path in the water. Everyone, follow behind me. Don't go astray. Okay. And when Natalia and Liliana heard that there was a small path in the water, they immediately became excited and ran to the water surface eagerly. There really is a path. Although the surrounding fog was so thick that it was a spectacle, they could still faintly see a black shadow about 3 meters wide on the water surface. The black shadow kept going along the water surface. Natalia used the tip of her foot to lightly touch the black shadow in the water. It felt hard and very smooth, no different from ordinary stones. As for why it was smooth, it should be because it had been soaked in the water for a long time. Natalia, Liliana, stop playing. Let's go quickly. Oh, got it. Oh, Avina used heterochromatic pupils to size up the stone path in the water and found that there was nothing strange about it. She then took the lead and stepped onto the stone path to explore the situation. The water surface was cool. When she stepped on it, the water surface was just parallel to the soles of her feet. Even though she was wearing anti-cold shoes, she could still feel the coldness. It's a little comfortable. The 5 women walked forward slowly along the stone path in the water, afraid that something unexpected would happen. Following that, the fog gradually became thicker. Previously they could still barely see some silhouettes, but now it was really just a stretch of white. Is everyone still here? Chapter 695. Everyone, follow me, I have to speed up. Avina calculated the time. If she didn't speed up, she might not be able to complete the mission given by Reynolds. Thinking of Reynolds, Avina actually thought of his smiling face at this moment. She couldn't help but blush and continued to move forward. Originally, they were already prepared for the dangers during the journey, but they didn't expect the journey to be so smooth. The surface of the stone road hidden in the river was very smooth, and it was very easy to fall. This was definitely not formed by nature. If there were no accidents, it was very likely that this was the passage that the scientist used to come to the outer third ring. If this hypothesis was true, it would also show the vulnerability of the scientist himself. They didn't know how long they had walked. The fog had already made the 5 of them completely lose their sense of time. At noon, Avina faintly saw that there were finally some yellow magic particles at the end of the road. We're here. Avina's words cheered everyone up again. They were already tired of the unchanging scenery, and the boring journey made Natalia almost fall asleep. Their footsteps gradually quickened, and finally, with the last step, they stepped on slightly soft soil. We're finally here. Lilith? Here. Me and Liliana are also here. But after waiting for a while, there was actually no movement from Natalia's side. Natalia? Only the whistling of the wind responded to Avina. Not good. Everyone realized a serious problem. Natalia seemed to have lost her way. The 4 of them hurriedly looked around, but they didn't find any trace of Natalia. Avina and the others also didn't dare to look around wantonly. If they alerted the enemies here and exposed their position, then their original advantage of being in the dark would disappear without a trace. Furthermore, if they were to look for someone in such a foggy day, what would they do if another person got lost? Just as everyone was panicking, Lilith's words reminded Avina of something. Avina, star survey. That's right. Didn't Teacher Reynolds give us the star survey before? Isn't this the time to use it? Avina hammered her own head. She had forgotten about the existence of star survey again. The spell Star Survey was given to Natalia, Avina, and Alice by Reynolds. After chanting the spell, magic particles would form a simple map in the air. Each person's position would be represented by a small red. If they encountered danger, the small red dot would flash. The higher the danger, the faster the red dot would flash. If the person was already dead, then the map would not show this person's red dot. The stars in the sky all belong to my palm. From 1 to 2, the world's momentum belongs to my eyes. Survey the stars. The stars in the sky all belong to my palm. From 1 to 2, the world's momentum belongs to my eyes. Survey the stars. Avina and Lilith chanted the incantation at the same time. The incantation was very fast, and at the same time, a blue light spot appeared in the air in front of them. The light spot was constantly moving in the air, dragging a faint tail behind it. Every centimeter of the light spot would sprinkle a light blue fluorescence, as beautiful as a butterfly fluttering in the night sky. What is this? In the past few days, the magic that Aina and the other two had used had long exceeded the scope of Aina's understanding. That black disk was simply a moving warehouse, and the kind with infinite capacity. Not only that, but there was also the 6 divine wings in Natalia's hands. That was simply a divine artifact, and it wasn't limited to the scope of magic devices. The spell that the two of them were using right now was probably some kind of detection spell. However, she had never seen the spell that they called Survey the Stars before. It seemed to be very close to the scope of an A-grade spell. Avina and Alice shouldn't have the ability to cast it yet. Finally, the map drawn by Survey the Stars appeared. Natalia's location. As strange, why is she so far away from us? Avina, Alice, where are you? Avina, Liliana, can I give you something delicious to eat? Hurry up and answer me. Natalia walked alone in the fog. When she stepped into the area of the first ring, she vaguely heard some strange sounds. She didn't think much of it and followed the source of the sounds. However, after walking for a while, Natalia suddenly reacted. Why do I have to follow you? Just when Natalia wanted to turn back, Avina and the other 3 had already disappeared, leaving her alone. Alice, I know you're the best. I'll still sleep with you tonight. I promise I won't talk in my sleep again. The more Natalia spoke, the more flustered she became. Previously, when she went to Reynolds's room to put the surveillance crystal, she was scared half to death by Tom's snoring, let alone now. Just when Natalia felt a faint fear, she suddenly felt something move in front of her chest. Then, a small white head stretched out from a pocket in front of her chest. Natalia, what are you doing? You're so noisy, I can't even sleep properly. Tom! At this time, Natalia seemed to have seen a life-saving straw. She pulled Tom out of the pocket and rubbed it on her cheek. Ah, Tom, fortunately you're here. I won't bully you anymore, and I won't put laxatives in your carrots anymore. At this time, Tom used the emotional rabbit's ability to change its body size to become a small rabbit that was as thick as 3 knuckles. Needless to say, his appearance was very funny. Did you expose something? Tom's white teeth rubbed against each other, producing a ca sound. I was wondering why my stomach hurt so much after eating the carrots that day. I originally thought that it was that brat Reynolds who did it. I didn't expect it to be you. And Natalia rolled her eyes. Actually, it was that idiot Reynolds who made me do it. He used my academic credits to threaten me to do it. He said that if I didn't listen to him, he would deduct all my academic credit. If that happened, I wouldn't be able to graduate. Natalia pretended to be pitiful, and in her words, she described Reynolds as a heinous villain. Looking at Tom, who had his head lowered and was deep in thought, Natalia felt that her strategy of changing the topic was about to succeed. Immediately after, she followed up with another attack and continued speaking. Chapter 696. Why are you here? Shouldn't you be sleeping in the backpack right now? Don't mention this matter anymore. The more you talk about it, the sadder it gets. Tom jumped down from Natalia's palm, and with a bang, it returned to its original size. These few days, sleeping in that backpack caused my spine to be a bit unwell. I heard that sleeping in a harder place is good for the spine, so didn't I run over to your place? Natalia thought for a bit, and felt that what Tom said was indeed somewhat reasonable. She also nodded her head, expressing her affirmation. Wait a minute? Sleeping in a harder place? Natalia realized what had happened. You said that my chest is small? Tisk tsk, you said it yourself, not me. Natalia suddenly had the urge to strangle Tom to death. As expected, Natalia with someone accompanying her was not quite the same as when she was alone. After that, Natalia and Tom explained in detail the current situation that they were in. What? We got lost? Tom wished that he could use a small flying kick to smash Natalia's head. Being together with a fellow like you is definitely not a good thing. Ha 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 ha, this is not normal. As the saying goes in life, how can one not walk on the wrong path? Tom was truly speechless towards Natalia's thick skin. Tom took another breath, and with a bang, it became even bigger once again. Right now, Tom's body had already become several times bigger than Natalia's body. Come on up, I will bring you to find Avina and the others. Really? Natalia's eyes were a bit moist. Tom's actions moved her a bit. Don't think too much, I am afraid that you will starve to death here, and by that time, Reynolds will still come and find trouble with me. Humph. Although that was what she said, Natalia could still deeply feel Tom's concern towards her. Natalia raised her two arms, grabbed onto Tom's fur, and climbed onto its back. Are you sick? Can't you jump on? Tom saw a few strands of his hair in Natalia's hand. Sigh, luckily I came. Just like that, Natalia believed the reason that Tom slept on her chest. Even ghosts wouldn't believe it, but Natalia believed it. In fact, Tom and Reynolds were the same. They did not want to show their secret concern in front of the stage. If Tom was not worried about Natalia, what else could he be here for? Natalia often caused trouble. If something really happened to her, it would be terrible. As for why Tom was in the backpack, he explained that Reynolds had forced him into the backpack, but you wouldn't know that he had actually climbed in because he was worried about the three little girls. Some people didn't want to show their concern, so they would always think of all kinds of ridiculous reasons to explain their abnormal behavior. Actually, there is always someone secretly loving you. Ha ha ha, Tom, go. You. Sniff 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 sniff. This way. After Tom's body size increased by several times, Tom's original way of finding the way was actually no different from a puppy's way of walking. Both of them drooped their small heads close to the ground and then moved their noses continuously, relying on the smell to find the path they came from. Previously, when Tom's body size was small, it couldn't be seen at all. Now that Tom had suddenly become bigger than Natalia, all of Tom's movements had also increased by several times. Hey Tom, are you reliable or not? This feels like we have been walking in circles the entire time. Look at this stone, how many times have we seen it already? Natalia spoke very softly. It wasn't that she was afraid of being heard by the enemy and thus exposing her position, but rather, she was afraid that others would see her current appearance. If Reynolds were to see me riding on Tom's back like this, he would definitely mock me as if I was riding on a dog. Others are riding on horses, while Natalia is riding on a dog. Something is wrong. What? You are asking me why I don't get down and walk? Wouldn't that be tiring? Having a mount to use as a tool, isn't it nice? Natalia was such a contradictory existence. Hey, are you blind? When you see a stone, you say that it is the same one that you saw before. Then, if you entered the stone mountain, wouldn't you be unable to come out? You must have read too many novels. I just want you to speed up a bit. Suddenly, Tom's movements stopped, and Natalia's body leaned forward slightly due to inertia, almost rolling down. but fortunately, at the moment of danger, she subconsciously grabbed onto Tom's white and soft fur. Huff, I still have to thank Tom. Otherwise, I would have fallen down. Natalia looked at the few strands of long fur that she pulled out from her hand and said, Wait a minute, if it didn't suddenly stop, I wouldn't have fallen down at all. Tom, what is the matter with you? Shoo. Tom indicated for Natalia to not speak. Natalia's brows wrinkled. Looking at Tom's appearance, he should have discovered something abnormal. Immediately, Natalia closed her mouth and changed into a serious attitude and vigilantly looked at the surroundings. After waiting for quite a while, there was still no movement. Other than the whistling sound of the wind, there was nothing strange at all. Tom, what did you discover? Look. Natalia squatted down and looked at the direction that Tom's short paw was pointing at. She discovered that a few centimeters ahead of her, there was actually something buried in the soil. Look, there is a carrot over there. Bang! Natalia used her heaven's justice technique and used her fist as a weapon and hammered onto Tom's head. What time is it already? You still know how to eat? Tom rubbed his small head. Don't you know that you eat and sleep all day long? However, Tom would definitely not be so foolish as to say out what was in his heart. That was something that only a fool would do. No, look at that. Tom pointed at the ground beside the carrot. Natalia discovered that there were actually many densely packed footprints on the ground beside the carrot in front of her. Looking at the number of footprints, it seemed that 2 people had appeared here before. The footprints sank very deep into the soil, and the distance between every 2 steps was also slightly far. It seemed that the 2 people should have run over there in a hurry. After a while, Dream Shoe Magic Academy would start a new reconnaissance class. Based on the footprints, one would be able to determine the gender, height, weight, and other relevant information of the other party. However, it hadn't started yet, and Natalia and the others had already come to participate in the 7 schools competition. Chapter 697. Looking at the footprints, those 2 people should have gone in that direction. Tom said in his grandmother's voice. These are definitely not the footprints of the scientist and Ragnar. Ragnar's legs are the legs of a cheetah. How can he guess the shape of human footprints? Then is it possible that they are the footprints of the scientist and another person? Natalia thought about it and felt that her hypothesis was very reasonable. Then, if I catch the scientist first, wouldn't I have made a great contribution? At that time, let's see how that idiot will say that I won without doing anything. Natalia could already imagine Renault's look of worship towards her. After thinking, Natalia quickly jumped on Tom's back. Tom, quick, let's follow these footprints. Although Tom didn't really want to follow, since Natalia said so, she must have her own reasons. Unfortunately, Tom didn't expect Natalia's reason to be so shallow. After walking for a while, the white fog around them had thinned a lot. In fact, there was one point that Natalia paid attention to just now. Reef Island was an island in the ocean. The climate was humid and warm, which should be very suitable for the growth of vegetation. In fact, the 4th, 3rd, and 2nd ring area also confirmed the truth of this point of view. But for some reason, since stepping on the 1st ring area, Natalia had never seen a shadow of a big tree. Not to mention a big tree, even weeds could only be seen occasionally. Natalia, Tom stopped. The footprints disappear here. Natalia jumped down from Tom's back again and walked to the front. Indeed, the footprints had disappeared here. What's going on? Could it be that the 2 of them flew away? I don't think so. Tom found that there was a pool of blood on the ground around. The blood had already dried, and there was a fishy smell. It looked around and found 2 corpses on the ground not far away. Natalia recognized the identity of the corpse at a glance. Weren't these the 2 people who had escaped from the Tsongfire Heavenly Magic Academy? How did they die here? Natalia briefly examined the condition of the two corpses. Their faces were filled with despair. Their mouths were wide open and their facial muscles were stiff. As for the cause of death, the two corpses had one thing in common: the clothes on their abdomens had been soaked in blood. More importantly, the clothes had obviously become heavier after being soaked in blood. There was a very obvious dent on their abdomens. There was only one reason for this, and that was that their ribs had been completely broken, resulting in no bones to support the muscles in their bodies, causing their bodies to sink. If these two people were originally at the place where the footprints disappeared, it meant that they were punched by something, and the place where they were punched was their abdomen. Their ribs were broken, which led to the scene in front of them. Tsk, these two people are a bit pitiful. It had been a long time since Natalia saw a dead person. The last time she saw one was when she was a child in Sewing village. At that time, the whole village was massacred, and she was so scared that she could only hide in a corner to escape. Since coming to Reef Island, many cruel things had happened. Vasilet Feng's two followers died strangely, and the scene of the crime was too horrible to look at. A large number of corpses were buried in the pit outside the beach, and all of them were transformed beyond recognition. Two people from the Tsongfire Heavenly Magic Academy encountered unknown danger and died from a heavy blow to their abdomens. Was this the loss of morality or the loss of humanity? Cough, cough. Tom wiggled his little nose. Natalia, there seems to be something nearby? Tom said calmly. I just smelled a very strong smell of blood and disinfectant. Just after Tom finished speaking, Natalia also smelled a smell that was very similar to what Tom had described. Sensitive sense of smell was a skill that Natalia obtained after training for a long time. She relied on her nose, which she was very proud of, to find the delicious food that was hidden by Reynolds. This was a unique and exclusive skill. Just when Natalia calmed down and wanted to feel this empty space, suddenly, her subconscious told her that something appeared behind her. Natalia, be careful. Tom discovered that a huge monster appeared behind Natalia. It had arms and legs like a human. When did it go over? Tom didn't notice at all how this huge monster suddenly appeared behind Natalia. The huge monster let out a very deep roar, and immediately after, it raised its two arms high, clenched its hands into fists, and smashed towards Natalia with all its strength. Bang! With a sound, the fist hit the ground like a battle-axe, and the strong impact made the ground shake a little. Fortunately, Natalia's reaction was quite agile, and with Tom's timely warning, she barely avoided the sneak attack. But she just barely avoided the direct attack. The fist hit the ground and blew up a lot of stones, and a palm-sized sharp gravel just happened to hit Natalia's back. Chi! A burning feeling came from her back, and the pain made Natalia lose her ability to think for a moment. She turned around and found that the thing that attacked her wasn't something strange, but one of the two targets that the five of them had been looking for, Ragnar. The human man's head was connected to the barbarian's body. The rock-like chest and abdominal muscles looked like they were full of destructive power. On both sides of the body were the long arms of a gorilla, covered with thick brown hair, and the arms looked like they could wrap around a 100-year-old tree. The cheetah-like hind legs gave it a speed that was difficult to be seen with the naked eye, which was why Tom didn't notice Ragnar at first. The spear-like kangaroo tail was sewn to Ragnar's back, and at the place where the tail was connected, there were obvious traces of sewing, and even the end of the thread was exposed. What the hell is this? Tom had never seen anything that combined the characteristics of five creatures. Although he had seen Renaud try many strange experiments before, Renaud's level was limited to the level of playing, and it was impossible for him to do such a heartless experiment. Finding that his sneak attack didn't hit, Ragnar once again made a low sound from his throat. The cheetah-like left leg took a small step forward, as if to launch the next attack. Chapter 698. Natalia could feel blood gushing out of her back. Damn it, Reynolds didn't hit me so hard last time. Thanks to Reynolds' heavy punch in the forest last time, Natalia had developed some tolerance for strong blunt force. Otherwise, if she was hit by the flying stones this time, she might have lost consciousness instantly like last time. Hexapod! Natalia summoned her hexapod, and the gold and silver hexapod emitted a dazzling white light. Seeing the sudden appearance of the 6 wings, Ragnar's body froze as he stood there motionless like a statue. Strange, what's wrong with it? Natalia held the hexapod in her hand and waved it left and right. She didn't expect Ragnar's gaze to follow the movement of the hexapod. It seems to be afraid of the hexapod. Natalia hurriedly inserted the hexapod into the ground while Ragnar was in a daze, then sat cross-legged on the ground and slowly mobilized the wood element magic particles in the air. Looking at the wood element magic particles that were constantly converging towards Natalia, Ragnar actually raised his gorilla arm and tried to catch a bit of starlight. He made a hoarse, sound from his throat, and the scary feeling from before was completely gone. Wait! Natalia thought of something. It seems that from the beginning to the end, I was the only one who was afraid of it, because it's different. Natalia felt that she was the most foolish person at this time. From the first time she saw Ragnar on the beach, she inexplicably felt a sense of fear towards Ragnar. It clearly didn't do anything to hurt me, it just looked at me. More and more wood element magic particles converged on Natalia's body, and now Natalia had transformed into the appearance she had when she was fighting against the dark demon. Natalia's dress fluttered even though there was no wind. The diamond-shaped mark at the center of her collarbone fell off like a sticker and flew into the 6 wings. Then, the 6 wings emitted a dark green light. The dazzling green light flowed into the sword through Natalia's palm. The bright silver was instantly covered by the green light. Ragnar raised his right hand, his terrifyingly pure white eyes glowing with a faint halo. He flipped his palm upwards, as if trying to catch the dazzling light. It was as if he was praying for something. Save me, save me! Save me, save me! The strange sound appeared in Natalia's ears again, but this time she could hear it more clearly. Previously, she had been attracted by this strange sound. After that, she would occasionally hear it, but she didn't know what it was saying. At this moment, the voice sounded again, and it was exceptionally clear. Save me? Who are you? Where are you? Natalia roared. She wanted to find the source of the voice, but from beginning to end, she couldn't see anyone in this fog. Natalia, what's wrong with you? Tom shrank in size and jumped onto Natalia's shoulder. Natalia's inexplicable soliloquy frightened Tom to no end. Tom, can't you hear it? Someone is saying, save me. Hey, where are you? I didn't hear anyone say, save me. Forget it, you don't understand. Natalia put Tom back on the ground and shouted again. Who are you? Along with her shouting, Natalia felt that the voice in her mind became more frequent. Save me, save me! That voice was very miserable and heartbreaking. It should be the voice of a middle-aged man. You are the only one who can save us. Natalia's eyes lit up, and she turned towards Ragnar. It's you, isn't it? You're asking me for help. But Ragnar still stood there, foolishly grabbing the wood element magic particles emitted by Natalia. Please set us free. That voice now turned into the voice of a little boy, sounding very crisp. Ragnar stopped grabbing the air at this moment and turned around, ignoring the existence of Natalia and Tom. Bang! Bang! Ragnar's huge body caused each of his steps to make a loud noise. Ragnar walked to the side of the 2 corpses of the Fire Sky Magic Academy team members, bent down and picked them up. Ragnar dragged his heavy body forward, and Natalia also followed. Her consciousness told her that she must follow. After walking for a minute or two, Ragnar suddenly stopped. His cheetah legs bent slightly and he actually knelt on the ground. Ragnar raised his gorilla arm and inserted it into the soil. Then, with a flip of his palm, he started digging a hole. Sound came from his mouth. It sounded so hoarse, and it was full of tears, full of desolation. What is he doing? Natalia was surprised by Ragnar's strange behavior. It was beyond the scope of her understanding. Natalia, you must be careful. Maybe he's deliberately making us careless, Tom said slowly. At this moment, he also didn't believe that Ragnar would attack him again. As a member of the orc race, Tom could feel the sorrowful cry from Ragnar's soul. Ragnar's digging motion was very slow. His huge body seemed so clumsy when he was digging a hole. After a while, the hole was dug out. The 2-meter hole looked very simple and crude. Natalia felt that even if she used her feet to dig a hole, it would be countless times better than this. Ragnar raised the bodies of the 2 people from Scorching Sky Magic Academy with both hands, palms facing up, holding their backs, and lowered his head, as if a pious apostle was praying. Ragnar actually put the 2 people's bodies in the hole that had just been dug. After they were all in place, he used both hands to fill the hole with soil. How is this possible? If Tom didn't witness it with his own eyes, he definitely wouldn't believe what was happening in front of him. He's burying those people again. Didn't he kill those 2 people? I beg you, please save us. Once again, the strange voice sounded, but this time, Natalia really heard it with her ears. Natalia felt as if something was looking at her on her right. She turned her head and found that there was a little boy standing there. Chapter 699. Ragnar also heard Avina's voice and stopped burying the hole. Avina, I miss you so much. Tom was sandwiched between Natalia and Avina, crying and yelling. Avina's 2 big lumps of meat stuck close to Tom's rabbit head and kept swaying, making Tom feel as if he was floating in the air. However, it was different on the other side. Natalia's washboard was so hard that Tom almost died from the pain. Tom's current situation was half soft and half hard. It was a combination of ice and fire. Avina, I'm telling you. Natalia went crazy just now. She talked to the air, and kept saying something about ghosts and ghosts. I was so scared. Tom, you! Natalia had just learned that Tom couldn't see the ethereal. To think that I was so touched. Be careful. Wuyue, who had followed behind Avina, noticed that something was amiss. Ragnar, who had been kneeling on the ground, stood up when he saw them. He let out a roar, as if he would attack at any time. In the next moment, Ragnar had disappeared from where he stood. Avina's heterochromatic eyes felt a huge amount of mana rushing towards her. In a moment of desperation, Avina grabbed Natalia's chest and pushed her forward. Then, she jumped back. In the next second, Avina was shocked to find that the place where she was standing had exploded. A huge body was half squatting there, its right hand supporting itself on the ground. The huge impact caused the ground to cave in. With the point of impact as the center, there were 3 depressions in a 5-meter radius. The first was half a meter deep, the second was 2 meters deep, and the third was 5 meters deep. Again? Even a farmer wouldn't be able to dig such a big hole. Natalia dodged Ragnar's attack with Iwena's push. This was the second time today that she had been attacked by Ragnar. What the hell is this? The Wuyue sisters, who had rushed over, exclaimed in shock. It was no wonder that the Wuyue sisters were so surprised. After all, this was the first time they had seen the so-called Ragnar in person. Previously, he had been listening to Natalia's sweet words. Anyone with a bit of intelligence would not listen to Natalia's nonsense. He had thought that Natalia's description of Ragnar was already exaggerated, but now it seemed that it was exactly the same. The long arms of a gorilla, the legs of a cheetah, the head of a human, the body of a barbarian, the tail of a kangaroo. Judging from Natalia's description, Ragnar seemed to have more than just these abilities. Everyone, come over quickly. I already know what happened on this reef island. Natalia shouted. What? How did you know? Don't worry about it, listen to me. But before Natalia could say anything, Ragnar had already entered battle mode. There was no time to talk now. Judging from the power and speed that Ragnar had just displayed, the 5 of them were still a little weak. Its weakness is its head. Everyone, focus your fire on its head. Although Natalia was very respectful to this unknown human, he had now been transformed into Ragnar, a machine that could only attack and kill. Wait, then why did it bury the corpses? Forget it, don't think about it. If they continued to dwell on this problem, their companions might be in danger of dying. The previous plan had been disrupted. The original plan was for Natalia, Lilith, and Liliana to deal with Ragnar, but now it seemed that the strength of only 3 people was far from being its opponent. Okay. The 5 women's eyes met, and they understood each other's intentions. The 5 of them ran around in a circle, forming a 5-pointed star formation with Ragnar in the center. Ice Feather. Liliana summoned her weapon first. A light blue transparent ice arrow appeared in her hand. Go. Liliana attacked first, wanting to test Ragnar's defense. The ice arrow pierced Ragnar's back with the force of wind, and the sharp tip of the ice arrow pierced Ragnar's barbarian body. Ragnar roared, and the barbarian's long arm stretched back. Its arm was bent at a very tricky angle, and it pulled out the ice arrow that pierced its body. Then the flesh at the wound that was pierced by the ice arrow wriggled, and many muscle fibers stretched out of the wound. The muscle fibers pulled down and perfectly covered the wound. It has such an abnormal healing ability. Liliana was surprised. She had never seen such an abnormal creature before. There are many creatures on Starwish Island with very strong recovery abilities. Don't be careless. Avina shouted. From the very beginning, Natalia summoned the wood elemental magic particles in the air to envelop herself. Natalia called this state of being filled with wood elemental magic particles, Emerald Goddess form. This name was of course narcissistic, but it was true that as long as Natalia was in this state, the wood magic particles in the air would continuously pour into Natalia's body. Although she didn't know what caused it, it was not an exaggeration to call her the Emerald Goddess. Celestial wings. Natalia gathered her strength and squatted down. The green celestial wings bloomed behind her, and the white fog was finally illuminated. Natalia could now release the celestial wings without the need for complicated incantations. Natalia held the hexapod wings in her right hand behind her back, and after taking a deep breath, she launched an attack and ran towards Ragnar. Ragnar was not to be trifled with. His reaction was also very sharp, and he was ready to meet Natalia's attack. Deep and flowing water, falling into the bottomless abyss, like chopping off a horse's head. 10,000 feet deep, faster and faster, the sky is raining heavily. High-pressure waterfall. At the same time as Natalia launched her attack, Avina also chanted the water magic she was best at, not to be outdone. An azure circular magic circle appeared above Ragnar's head, with a square module inlaid in it, slowly rotating. Ragnar also seemed to feel that something was wrong and wanted to jump away to avoid it. Humph! Don't even think about running. Ragnar jumped back, but for some reason, he was suddenly stabbed in the back and bounced back under the magic circle released by Avina. Chapter 700. The little boy was wearing a large white pajamas that was twice as big as him. The bottom of the pajamas reached the ground and covered the little boy's entire body, leaving only a pair of small feet exposed. The little boy's face was pale and sickly. He held a teddy bear in his right hand and looked at Natalia with a smile. Big sister, can you see me? The little boy's smile was quite cute, and his voice was also very ethereal. However, his entire body was slightly transparent, like some kind of projection. It felt like a gust of wind could blow him away. You. Natalia didn't notice the little boy's presence at all and was shocked to see him suddenly. Who are you? Ha. My name is Comling. Oh, Comling is the Comling from the sky. Comling is the Comling from the Comling from the Comling. Although they seem to be more or less the same. But my name is Ethereal Spirit. The little boy's self-introduction almost confused Natalia. You are a specter? Although Natalia was very afraid of ghosts, her intuition told her that the little boy in front of her was not dangerous. Puff, 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 please call me by my name, Ethereal. Empty Spirit placed her hands on her waist and pretended to be very angry. However, from the looks of it, the effect wasn't that obvious. On the contrary, the effect was somewhat cute. A brother Kongling, are you a ghost? I'm a ghost. Kongling nodded and said proudly. Then, he seemed to have realized something and immediately changed his word. Bah, your whole family are ghosts. I'm not a ghost. My whole family is indeed ghosts now. Natalia was right. Didn't her whole family die in Hope Village? Weren't they all ghosts now? Alright, I was wrong. I'm actually the guardian of this land. Ethereal said proudly. Guardian? Natalia did not believe in the existence of God. She would rather believe that there were ghosts living in the world than the existence of God in this world. If God really exists, Hope Village won't. Aya, do you not believe what I said? I can see the distrust in your eyes. I do, of course I do. Little brother Kongling is so cute, how can I not believe you? Natalia said with a grin. Pfft, you just don't believe me. I'm leaving. Then what are you doing here? Natalia cursed in her heart. Although she didn't know what was going on, Natalia couldn't wait for him to leave. Oh, that's right. I almost forgot about the important matter. Just as Kongling was about to turn around and leave, he suddenly thought of something. Kongling raised his head high and placed his palms on either side of his mouth, using them as a loudspeaker. Everyone, come out. Kongling's action really scared Natalia. All of a sudden, a lot of white smoke rose from the ground with Kongling and Natalia as the center. It was also translucent. The white smoke slowly floated up, and when it reached a certain height, it turned into human figures. There were men, women, humans, and beasts. There were a lot of them, and there were at least 200 or 300 of them. They are the real specters. Ah. Mom, save me. Hearing about ghosts, Natalia was so scared that her legs trembled. She even wanted to call her deceased mother to save her. Natalia, don't be afraid. As long as I'm here, even if Reynolds, who is countless times scarier than ghosts, is here, I'll help you beat him away. Tom jumped on Natalia's shoulder to comfort her. Although he said so, Tom thought that Natalia had been scared out of her wits at the moment. What ghosts? Why don't I see them? Only Natalia could see Kongling's existence. What Tom saw was only a vast expanse of white fog. Haha, what a cute bunny. You do have a pretty good friend. Kongling covered her little mouth and said with a smile. Natalia was completely touched by Tom's actions. However, what she didn't know was that Tom thought that she was crazy. The best way to comfort a crazy person was to follow her delusions. That was why Tom said that. Haha, don't be afraid. Look at them carefully. Natalia followed Kongling's guidance and gathered her courage to look around. She knew that she couldn't go on like this. She had to overcome her weakness of being afraid of ghosts. Slowly putting down her hands that were covering her eyes, Natalia realized that the ghosts formed by the white smoke were all standing behind Ethereal at this moment. It was a dazzling sight to behold. Actually, they are all ghosts here. Ghosts. Natalia said weakly. Natalia looked like a 3-year-old girl right now. Tears of fear hung in the corner of her eyes. If Reynolds saw this, he would definitely laugh at her until the seas ran dry and the rocks crumbled. Aren't you curious about how that creature came out? Kong Ling pointed behind Natalia. Right now, Ragnar was the one who buried the 2 corpses of Chen Huatian. But I don't know. Natalia shook her head. Sigh, it can't be helped. I'll tell you. Many years ago, this small island was a very beautiful place. Birds sang, flowers bloomed, and fruit trees flourished. All the beasts lived here happily. But suddenly, one day, an uninvited guest came to this beautiful and quiet island. That was a human alchemist. Alchemist? Is it that scientist? Natalia didn't interrupt Kong Ling's words and continued to listen. That alchemist built his own experimental base underground in the center of the island. The main purpose seemed to be to study biological evolution. I don't know the specifics. In short, these ghosts were the victims of his experiments. What about Ragnar? And Ragnar is the most successful product of his experiments. One day, a human accidentally came to this island. He noticed the abnormal situation here and finally found out about the existence of the alchemist after investigating. That human wanted to destroy the alchemist's research base, but in the end, he failed. He was caught alive and used as an experiment. Chapter 701. Maybe in that alchemist's world, the pursuit of biological evolution is physical strength, so he fused the characteristics of many powerful animals into one and created this strange thing called Ragnar. Natalia listened very seriously. It was the first time she listened to someone speak so seriously. Of course. How could the experiment not fail? That alchemist's experiment is not something that ordinary creatures can withstand, so this is why so many creatures died. You mean, Natalia realized that these ghosts floating behind Kongling should be the victims of that scientist's experiment. Looking back at Ragnar, who was burying the 2 corpses of Chen Huatian, Natalia felt as if something had touched her heart. She felt that they were so pitiful. Then why is Ragnar burying these 2 people now? Didn't he kill these 2 people? The human who wanted to destroy the base, I've seen him before. He's quite kind. Look, isn't Ragnar's head that person? Natalia stared blankly at Ragnar's back, feeling incredulous. I've never seen a person with such strong willpower. His desire to survive actually withstood the cruel experiment of the alchemist, Kongling said while spreading out her palms. Her tone was very relaxed, as if it had nothing to do with her. However, Natalia's heart suffered a heavy blow at this time. We're all humans, but while we're enjoying ourselves, who knows who else in the world is being cruelly tortured? Hero, in Natalia's mind, this person can already be called a hero. In order to save the lives of other races, he sacrificed himself and endured such great torture. Speaking of which, it's quite outrageous. Logically speaking, although the transformed people are powerful, they can only act according to orders. You can also think of them as puppets, toys pieced together from the corpses of many animals. The order this Ragnar received was to guard this place and kill all other creatures that came here. At this point, Natalia could understand why the 2 people from the Ember Fire Heaven had died. It seems that they accidentally came here on their way to escape, and were recognized as invaders by Ragnar, so they were killed. Now that he thought about it, the death of the 2 people from Jia Huatian had something to do with him. If he hadn't been blinded by anger, these 2 people might not have escaped, and they wouldn't have come here to be killed by Ragnar. What about me? Why did Ragnar suddenly stop? Well, I'm not telling you. Ethereal's expression was relaxed from beginning to end, but it was also because of this that Natalia felt a trace of fear from Ethereal. If it was a normal living being, then when he explained the whole thing, his emotions would definitely fluctuate greatly. This kind of infuriating experiment would definitely cause dissatisfaction in his heart. However, this ethereal spirit seemed to be telling a story to Natalia. His emotions were very calm, and there wasn't a trace of anger. "What's wrong? Do you feel that I'm very cold?" Ethereal suddenly stopped and said with a smile. "Not good." Natalia could only feel the coldness of human nature from Ethereal, which made Natalia very afraid. "Haha, don't be nervous, I won't hurt you. The Lun family is so cute, how could they do something that would hurt people?" Ethereal actually tried to act cute at this time, but his cute actions didn't seem to have any corresponding satisfaction in Natalia's eyes. "Then why are you telling me this?" About this, Ethereal hugged the teddy bear in his right hand. "Of course it's because I'm annoyed." "Annoyed? I was originally sleeping here, but these vengeful spirits kept shouting something about saving me. It was so noisy that I couldn't sleep. That's why I'm here." "Find me? I don't think I can help you." Natalia took a step back. She was now very vigilant against this ethereal spirit. "I just want you to help me drive that alchemist away. That way, these vengeful spirits can rest in peace. Isn't it the best of both worlds?" Since Ethereal said this, Natalia had no reason to refuse. This already belonged to the category of moral kidnapping. If she didn't help drive the alchemist away after knowing the truth, then her conscience wouldn't be able to live with it. Their original purpose was to investigate the scientist, and now they could do it together. "I can promise to help you drive that alchemist away, but why don't you drive him away yourself?" "Well, I have my own reasons." It seems that Ethereal didn't intend to answer Natalia's question. "But I can tell you how to defeat Ragnar." Ethereal pointed at Ragnar's human head. "Its weakness is its head. As long as its brain dies, no matter how strong it is, it will die." Natalia lowered her head and pondered for a moment. But at this moment, Ethereal Spirit seemed to have discovered something and smiled gently. "Haha, it seems that I have to go. I won't accompany you, Natalia. We'll meet again." "Wait a minute." Before Natalia could finish her words, the ethereal little boy's body slowly faded until he disappeared from her sight. The ghosts behind him also disappeared without a trace at this time. "Why does he seem to be very familiar with me? Why did he say that we'll meet again?" These questions circled around her heart at the moment, and she always felt that things in this world were very troublesome. At this moment, Natalia heard a familiar voice. "Natalia? Natalia? This is—" Natalia recognized the familiar timbre in an instant. "Avina! Lilith! I'm here!" Natalia waved her arms desperately, trying to let Avina and the others know her position in the hazy fog. "Avina!" Natalia finally saw the figure she wanted to see most at this moment not far away. "Natalia! Ah!" Natalia ran to Avina and hugged her in her arms. This warm body temperature gave Natalia a moment of warmth. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Nights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.